Hi and welcome to another shop update. This is Luise Heinzel. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this video. Thanks for joining me today. Today I would like to share the 3 latest items from my Etsy shop with you. I have created a lot of new digital stuff for my shop. I've decided to pick the last 3 sets for this video so that the video doesn't get too long. But of course you can check out all of the new stuff, all of the stuff that you haven't seen yet, just by clicking to the link down below in the description box. Just go to my shop and then you can sort the items by the latest items in the top so that you can see everything which is new to you. So I'm a little bit excited. Here is a lot going on. I've decided that I want to try to answer some of your questions with this video as well. There were a ton of questions on some things about digital paper, so I'm trying to answer that in this video. And I also want to show you some things that you can do with the digital paper. I will not go into very deep details. I will go with really simple things that shall be like a starting point for you, that shall give you inspiration. And I also want to try to go into a theme that is really important to me and obviously to you as well, because there have been so many questions about that. I want to give you some recommendations about the colors that you could use in combination with the sets that I will show you in this video. And for that, I'm going to go with the colors by Ranger. You know, if you know my channel, I'm using the things by Ranger a lot. So as you can guess here with my swatches, I have a plan. So I will show you some colors which you can combine with the printables. But of course, if you don't have Ranger products, you can, do a similar thinking process, which I do with other brands or other mediums as well. That doesn't have to be Ranger, of course. So let's go into this. So let's move some things out of the way so that we have some space for doing this. I would like to start with this one. This set is called Creamy Bouquet, as you can read here. And this is a junk journal kit, as the preview says here. Just a little note for those of you who are perhaps new to my shop. If you see a preview picture like this on the main page of my shop, you can always, on the first glance, identify what you get. When you read the second line here, you can see this says Junk Journal Kit, meaning this is a set that has pages and ephemera in the same set. If this, for example, says ephemera pack, you know that you only get ephemera but no pages. If this says junk journal pages, you know you will get pages but no ephemera. There's also a category that says journal backgrounds, meaning that are those more like plain backgrounds where you have a lot of space to create your own things on. So, that's just a little side note, but this is a junk journal kit, meaning we have pages and ephemera in this. So let's start with the ephemera. Luisa, you are so well prepared today. I'm so sorry. This is one of the pages of the ephemera. This looks a little bit unspectacular, I know. These are relatively plain tags, but I wanted to fulfill a wish that you had. You said you want to have some more like plain elements, especially for the ephemera part of a junk journal kit, so that you can create your own things, that you can put a lot on top of this and have more space for your own creativity. I've left this here on the sheet. So this is what you get when you purchase the kit and you download and print it. But as you can see here, I've also cut out some of the other things, so meaning the rest of the ephemera pack, because that was also a wish that you had. You said it's, and I can totally understand that, you said that it is sometimes so hard to imagine how everything will look when it's cut out, when you only have like this preview thing on Etsy. And I totally understand that because you have all of this white space around the things, like you can see here on this page with the tags, and it's hard to imagine how that will look when it's cut out. So I have done the job for you so that you can imagine that better. And it's always a good idea to follow me on Instagram. There I'm sharing a lot of things also made with my digital papers, where you can see those things like in action. Do you know what I mean? So that you perhaps can imagine that a little bit better. So here you see different variations. I've done some really tiny, like I feel like they are invisible things. But let me explain. And let me explain why I did that. So for example, these 3 tags are printed on relatively light paper. This is just 110 GSM matte photo paper. I've printed them on such, you would perhaps say flimsy paper. I mean, this is supposed to be a tag, yeah? But I want to show you that you can also print a digital printable paper pack, even if you don't have like this special really heavy paper. You can also print that on lighter paper, and you can have a nice result, as you can see here. And you can then later on back this with some other papers that you might have in your stash that you perhaps want to use up. You can use scrap papers and that stuff to back this to make it a little bit more sturdy. But you could also decide later that you don't want to transform this into like a normal, heavy, sturdy duty tag. Do you know what I mean? Perhaps if you print this on heavier paper and later on you think, oh, I don't want to make a tag out of this, I don't need this sturdy paper, then you have a problem and you can print it out another time and you would waste ink and paper. If you print it on like more flimsy paper, the quality is the same, the quality of the print, I mean, but you can still decide to back it with something else to make, for example, a belly band, a pocket, or you don't even have to back it. If the back is not visible later, you could leave it like it is and you have more possibilities to use all of those things. Hope that makes sense. In the past, I have printed ephemera on heavier paper, and I'm still recommending that in my Etsy shop in the description of the items, because the most of the crafters out there, I would say, won't consider this as ephemera because it's so flimsy. Do you know what I mean? But of course, that's personal preference, how you want to do that. And of course, it's also depending on your budget, of course, what you want to buy, what you can afford to buy. And I know that many of you say that photo paper or heavier paper is relatively expensive. So I want to show you that you can have a nice print and a lot of possibilities, even if your budget is not so big. I hope that makes sense. You will, of course, also get pockets in this set. These are the smaller pockets, or let's say the not so high pockets. Then there are also small ones, but they are higher, but not so wide. Do you know what I mean? Where's the second one? So we have these. And here you can also see an example how it would look if you would sew around those pockets. I've just taken a black thread for my sewing machine and I've just sewn around here, but not totally, as you can see. I have just left this part off. I didn't sew around here because I have a book page on the back that makes it also a bit more sturdier. That's also a great trick because I think many of you have book pages laying around and you don't know what to do with them. Great material to back like a cheaper, not so heavy paper which you have used to print your printable so that it can get sturdier just by using something that you already have. But there's another advantage of this, because you can also make a tiny pocket just by sewing around here. You could take this and put a smaller tag inside. For example, these smaller tags from the set are made to fit in here, even if you have sewn around. Oh, I just can't get it in there. But that's not because of the size, but because of my you know, as you can see, this fits in here perfectly. Even if you need this space here for sewing, I made it so that you also could use a narrow zigzag stitch if you don't like this straight stitch here, and this would still fit in there perfectly. So you could use it like so, you could glue that down, or you could use this as a tiny like sleeve or something. Let this loose, take another pocket, glue that down to your page, and then take this and put that in here. That would look really, really cute, I would say. And especially with the sewing, I like it really much. But of course, you don't need sewing. You can also do a faux stitching just by using a black pen and, you know, make something like this around here. If you don't have a sewing machine, that also would work. And especially for this set, I think if you do nothing, that sounds a bit weird, I know. If you do nothing, it looks great as well. Look at these journaling cards, for example. I've sewn around them as with the pockets. I've also backed them with some book pages, but I've done nothing. No inking, no distressing, nothing, yeah. So even if I would have skipped the sewing part, I think this would look really, really great. These cards are also meant to use in different directions, so that's the reason why I'm turning them around here, so that you can see that you can use them like this, like this, like this, or like this. Doesn't work with every card. So this, for example, you can use like this. So this is the direction it is meant to use, but this would work, I would say. This is already a little bit like weird, but of course you could do it like that if you don't care that the flowers look a little bit like upside down, and this would work as well. So you can try that out. But even without any inking around, they look really ready to go, don't they? So for this set, it was important to me that I have something where you have a lot of possibilities on the one hand, and on the other hand, something where you can say, okay, I can cut that out and use it exactly like it is. Then you get a coin envelope. This one I've already glued together, as you can see. And there's a card on the same sheet where the coin envelope is. And this card fits in here exactly like, yeah, you know, it fits in here exactly. What a sentence. As you can see, here's a tiny little bit of space. So on the first glance, it looks like the card is too small, but this I did on purpose because I know there are many of you who want to take this and back that with something else, which is a little bit bigger. So this card can fit in here perfectly, but you also at the same time have the possibility to take something else and put that behind there. Imagine you would have a piece of cardstock or something and you want to place that here, like so, to get a frame. Then you could do that, just cut it here, and it would still fit into, I'm so sorry, into this envelope, because here's enough space for that. Then I got a lot of questions about these tiny things that I have on my printable sheets. These are not new. Those elements you can find on the older sets as well. But there were many people who are totally confused about that. So these are meant just to save you time, ink, and paper. I've done a little example here already. So this originally was a normal rectangle like these here. And this is just meant to turn into, for example, tickets, or tiny tags, just by cutting off the edges like so. Then you have a tiny tag. Or you could also cut off all 4 edges. Then you would have a little label. You could just take a hole punch and punch a ticket like this. Or you could also take this and punch a ticket like this, just punching all of the corners like so, and you have a ticket. So that was the ephemera of Creamy Bouquet. Let's go to the pages of this set. And as you can see, this is really dreamy creamy. I thought about name it like that, dreamy creamy bouquet, but I felt a little bit kitschy about that. So these pages are for my kind of design process relatively plain. Many greetings to Barbara at 49 Dragonflies in this moment of the video, because yeah, she would be perhaps a little bit surprised. Barbara, what do you think? I think she says, Louise, did you make this? Yes, I made this because I wanted to have something really like versatile. Yeah, so you can use it as it is, the same with the ephemera pack, but you could also add more things and you have a lot of space for writing and other things. Some of you have asked if I can oh, excuse me please, if I can also give some suggestions which kind of papers from your stash or from somewhere else you could combine with the printables that I show in my videos. And of course I can do that. But the list for that is relatively short, I would say, because you can use everything that you have. That is a simple answer, I know, but it is exactly like that. Please use what you have. And if you have colors that are matching here, use up the things that you have in your stash and just combine that with these pages. If you want to have something really concrete, or if you want to have my personal opinion about this, I would say sewing patterns would work really well with this. If you look a little bit closer, I'm just searching for a page where it's really visible. Look here, for example, you can see that there's a sewing pattern in the background. It's really, really subtle. You can't see it so well because I wanted to have this as a background, of course, but there is a sewing pattern. And I can imagine adding pages to a journal mixed with these papers, which are sewing patterns or have sewing pattern elements on them. Like, for example, a Franken page, which is made out of sewing pattern and other papers, for example. Another cool thing would be Braille paper, I would say. I don't know why, but this speaks Braille paper. I have no idea why, but that's a personal thing, yeah? Putting papers together for a journal is always a personal thing, and sometimes you can't explain that so well. I would also say that paper that is like pastel colors and has tiny dots on it, would also fit really well. Ledger paper, of course, because we have this like ledger script here in the background. Paper that has coffee stains or those little splatters from coffee would also work really well, I would say. But please use what you have and what feels right for you and for your journal, where you want to put these papers in. And then you've also asked me if I can give some recommendations about the colors which you can use in combination with the printables. And of course I can do that, but I want to give you a professional answer. I want to give you an answer where I can be 100% sure that I'm convinced about the answer and that it is right. Do you know what I mean? And that's the reason why I will now talk about Ranger products. You know, if you know my channel, that I use the products by Ranger very, very much. And I will also talk about the oxide versions of the inks by Ranger. So let me make an example. For example, these here I have chosen because they match the background. So I have put my eye first to the background, and I wanted to have something that matches the blues and greenish grayish colors in this set. And I have taken out these three colors here. Before I tell you why I have chosen them and which colors that are, let me talk about oxide and ink. What you can see here are the oxide ink swatches of the colors. Meaning, if you would use the distress inks, you would see a difference, of course, yeah, because the oxide inks come out different than the inks. But the colors that I suggest here, of course, can work for the ink as well. You can just take out your inks if you don't have the oxide inks and just see if those colors match what you have printed out or not. And if not, you can just go a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left in your color palette, and I'm sure you will find a matching color for this. What I can give you here are only ideas, only suggestions, and only compared to what I get out from my printer with the photo paper that I use and with my printer settings. Your printer settings can of course be a little bit different, so that means the print gets a bit different as well, but perhaps if you have a rough orientation, you can find the right colors. Or if you say, I don't have Ranger products and I don't like to buy them, or I don't like to work with them, I mainly work with, let's say, watercolor or acrylic paints or watercolor pencils or whatever, you can perhaps get an imagination of what you want to search for in your stash of mediums. That will hopefully make sense in a second, because I'm starting with blues here and grays. But I will go to other colors in a second, and if you perhaps see this, you can get like a reference how that would look with those colors, with other colors, and then you can go and search in your stash what you have. That doesn't have to be exactly this, yeah? But if you want to know it exactly, I have here Iced Spruce, Speckled Egg, and Stormy Sky. I will hold that up to the camera so that you can make a screenshot, or you can write it down if you want. So these would, in my opinion, match really well if you want to go with a more grayish, bluish color palette for this paper set. But if you say, okay, I don't want to have this so like extremely blue, because here is already a lot of blue in the background, you could of course also go with another color palette. And you could also say, okay, this is like a botanical theme, and I want to have my whole journal more in this greenish color palette. Then I could suggest, again, oxide ink, Bundled Sage. You can find that here in those smaller colors, yeah, Louise, in those smaller flowers, I'm so sorry. Also here in the center of some of the other flowers, and also in some of the leaves, there's a little bit of Bundled Sage, so that would look really nice, I would say. And Forest Moss is a color which you can find in those bigger leaves here. If you put this here, you would perhaps think, ooh, I like the blues better. If yes, you are on the same side as I am, because this for me is somehow cold. I don't know why. It's a little bit cold and it's not so cohesive, because the greens are not so dominant. Yeah, that is, I think, a totally clear thing, because the blues are way more in the paper here and in the background, and they make a more harmonious thing than it is with the greens. But that doesn't mean that you can't use greens. Just imagine you would have only a tiny amount of Bundled Sage, a tiny amount of Forest Moss, but a relatively big amount of pumice stone. So let me just place this here, for example, like so. Then you can see, you know, we have a little bit of Bundled Sage, only a tiny bit of Forest Moss, but a lot of pumice stone, and suddenly it makes sense again, hopefully. Yeah, so that's my way of thinking, and I hope that I can give you some inspiration for your own color palettes with such a paper. You could, of course, also say, ooh, Louise got friend with pink and those like extreme colors. Yes, I really like these flowers, even if they are pink. And yeah, I think the time where you made jokes about Louise and pink are gone. That is finished, because I really like pink. And to be honest, I was thinking if I want to make a whole printable with only these flowers because I love them so much. But you know, now they are here in some areas. And for those flowers, I've chosen these colors here. I think that a combination of saltwater taffy and abandoned coral would make a really great match for these flowers here. Really, really nice, I would say. And on one of the pages, or actually here it is also a little bit, but there's one page and also in the ephemera pack, there's a really like outstanding orange. I'm talking about this orange here. And this would match sewing thread for free. Ripe persimmon really, really well. So especially the oxide version of ripe persimmon matches this really well because there are so many different shades of orange that this would go really well together. And if you think, okay, that was relatively colorful, there have been blues, there have been greens and like pinkish coral colors and this orange. But perhaps you say, I'm the brown type of crafter. I don't like colors. I can understand that. Perhaps you want to use this paper like pages that are popping out color-wise. And you want to put brown paper or relatively neutral paper as the rest of the pages into your journal. Then I could recommend the following colors. You can see that here on the paper there are some coffee stains, and I have checked which colors could work with this color here. Of course, you could use coffee and just throw it on or throw it to your other papers. That would match, of course. But a really good match is also this combination, tea dye and gathered twigs. On the first glance, you would think, hey, what is she talking about? Because tea dye, that is a really like weird color. But look at this. Please just let it sink in for a second. I haven't expected that, to be honest. When I have printed these out and I have checked the colors and I have prepared this video, I was like, ooh, tea dye. And then I have taken it out, put it here, and I was like, holy crap, how great is that? And what I found out for myself is that tea dye and gathered twigs is just an absolutely amazing color combination. And that's the reason, and also because gathered twigs matches the browns in here, why I would recommend gathered twigs as a second color if you want to go more into those like neutral colors or into browns. If you say, okay, that is not enough, you could also, of course, take pumice stone as a third color to make this like, you know, some people like to have this 3 of colors in their color palette, and that would make a great match as well. Okay, so then let's come to the next set. So this was Creamy Bouquet, and the next one is relatively similar shape-wise and theme-wise, if that makes sense. And it also has a relatively similar name, because this is called Red Bouquet. This is also a junk journal kit, meaning this comes with pages and ephemera. And you can see that it is upside down. I'm so sorry. It's like this. You can see that this is relatively close design-wise to the one that I have shown you before. But I did that on purpose because there were... What is going on here? I'm so sorry. There have been so many people who have asked for that, having papers that have like the same theme, botanicals, flowers in this case, and have a similar style but not identical. Do you know what I mean? So I've tried to make something which you can combine with each other, meaning you could take the pages from this set and of course combine them with this. I know that some of you will now scream and run away because this is not for everyone. Yeah, I know that, but that was my plan. Because there are so many out there who say, Louise, I want to go out of my comfort zone, but I don't know how. Try this combination and you will find your way. That sounds a little bit arrogant, but please trust me and try it out. I know this is crazy and it will be like, I would say, it will become a little bit harder to get other pages into the journal and make this really totally 100% cohesive look in the end. I know that. But that's a chance to grow as well, isn't it? That is like a challenge for yourself to try that out. And why not try to combine things that on the first glance are like biting each other? Why not doing this? I mean, this is junk journaling, combining different things. And at the same time, you have cohesive elements, things that go through, or would go, if you would use it, would go through your whole journal. Like, for example, these white flowers in the background, you have them here and here. The ledger, you have it here and here. The style of the bouquets is relatively similar, I would say. And also the background, both backgrounds would match really well. And yeah, that was the plan, that you could combine these with each other as well. Yeah, I had so much fun creating these, and I'm really hoping that you like them as well. And again, this is for my creative process relatively plain, but I'm hoping that you can find a way to make this your own. Yeah, because always when I create a digital paper, I'm like, what can they do with it? For me, it's like beautiful. I can put it into my journal. I'm satisfied, but I've already worked on it because I've designed it. Yeah. But I'm always thinking, what if you could come into my room and see what I am doing? What would you say? And what would you suggest? What would you do with this? And that's sometimes, I mean, it's fun, but it's sometimes really hard. And I'm hoping that I could fulfill your wishes. So let's see. As you can see here, this is a little bit strange. Here is a little piece cut off because I've used that for something that I want to show you in a second. Of course, this would be full if you would purchase it. So there's just one of these little things here in the corner. This is the coin envelope. As you can see, it's the same shape as I've shown you before in the other set. So meaning the ephemera that you have seen from the creamy bouquet is the same in this red bouquet. And you could, of course, combine these as well. So I did that on purpose as well, so that you can have more than one of these coin envelopes. I mean, you could print out this several times, you could print out this several times, but this way you have two different designs in the same shape for your journal, and you have a little bit of variety of this. So as you can see, this is this. Just cut it out, fold it here on those lines, and then you can just glue it together. Very easy. And with this set also has, of course, some journaling cards. There are 4 in total. These are 2 of them. It has pockets, of course, so it has the same elements like the creamy bouquet, but yeah, in this design of the red bouquet, of course, you know, with the other flowers and the other backgrounds and other colors and so on. So these are some of the pockets and the smaller tags. And why does this look so strange? Really easy answer. I've made something which I want to show you. I have created a little, like, really simple, the simplest of simple pages here in this journal, just to show you what you can do in seconds, or let's say in minutes. You have to cut it out. What you can do in minutes with a digital printable paper pack. As you can see here, first, this is not a tag anymore. This I have turned into a belly band, even if this has the tag shape, and if it's like, you know, on the first glance it's a tag, but that's what I've tried to say in the beginning of the video. You don't have to use the things as they are like meant to use. And I make this because when I design a digital paper, I'm not thinking, ooh, this is a tag, that is a journaling card, this is a pocket or something. I often have those shapes, and I think you could take this like tag shape, turn it into a belly band, a pocket, a tuck spot, or something totally different. You could just take this and flip it up and make a pocket here, make the tag shorter, cut it here, or whatever, yeah? And that's what I've tried to say in the beginning. If you print this on lighter paper, you have the chance to back it, for example, with a book page. This is just a book page where I have sewn the tag on, whole reinforcement, and then I've just glued it here and here. And now I have a belly band, which doesn't make my page stiff. Can you see? This is really nice. Yeah, it's not stiff. You can do things here without having this like, underneath. Do you know what I mean? Which comes with stiff things in a journal. And you can still decide what you want to do with this later, after you've printed it out. If you then say, okay, I will use it as a tag, then just back it with something or leave it as it is. I mean, where's the problem with something like this? It's a paper where you can journal on the back. No one says that this has to be like heavy duty cardstock or something like that. Yeah, please use it like you feel comfortable with it. And here, for example, with the journaling card, I've just printed it out, cut it out, and then I've backed it with some red paper, which I had in my stash, to show you that with the easiest things, you can turn a card into something different. Yeah, that doesn't have to be like really much effort. You can do that in minutes. And especially for this set, I think some tiny things are enough to make this really, really beautiful. And you can just throw it into your journal as it is. That doesn't mean, and I don't want to say that you can't throw grunge on here or texture paste or lace or whatever, yeah? Of course you can do all of that, but you don't have to. And here I've just taken one of the pockets. Looks a little bit weird, I know. I've glued this little label here from this one sheet, you know, with the coin envelope. And I've just glued it here so that I can write a date or something here. And then I've just taken one corner of the pocket and I've just folded that down. I've sewn over here to make this like weird shape of this pocket. The main reason for that was that I wanted to see this piece of fabric, which was already in my journal beforehand, yeah. Before I've glued this, I thought, ooh, that with the red could look great. The colors are matching really well. But then I realized that the pocket would cover a lot of this fabric. So I've just folded and sewn it. And also to show you that you can create another shape of pocket just with the easiest method. Just fold it, sew it, glue it, ready to go. Yeah. So then all of this can go in here. And then you want, perhaps want to know which colors I have chosen to go with this set. And I will tell you that in a second. So, for the background of this set, I think it would be a good idea to choose some warm browns. And I have decided for walnut stain and frayed burlap. Again, please don't forget that I'm talking about the oxide inks, yeah? Oxide ink swatch. So, of course, the sprays would work as well, but just to make it clear another time, these are the oxide ink swatches. And these, both colors, walnut stain and frayed burlap, I think match this really, really well. So then, in this set, we of course have those red, orangey colors. And for that, for the more darker reds, I have chosen, or let me show it here because that is bigger. I have chosen both of these, Aged Mahogany and Festive Berries. and you will see, hopefully, that this is a really, really great combination. Look, it's matching so well. That is absolutely fantastic. And we also have some orange in the center of some of those flowers. And for that orange, I would suggest to use ripe persimmon. And also the combination of these three would work really well together on, for example, tags or cards, additional things that you want to perhaps put into the pockets. Just imagine this was a tag with the three colors and it was in here like this. Works. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that this works. Okay, so that was that. And then let's come to the last set for today, which for me personally is the most important one. I will tell you in a second why. And as you can see, this is a lot. This is called Magnolia Coffee Birds, and this is a junk journal kit as well. And this is the biggest kit I have ever created. This is like a giant. But I wanted it to be as giant as it is, because I wanted to have it as versatile as possible. Into this kit there went many personal things, many private materials that I had as well, and I want to use it for my own journals as well. Do you know what I mean? So there's this thing. You create something and you think, okay, the first thing that I have to think about is I have to create this for myself. Because when I am happy with it, other people can be happy with it as well. If I don't like it, the others won't like it as well. That's a fact. And because of that, I've made it mainly for myself, and I'm hoping that you like it as well. I wanted to have something where you have background pages which are plain like this. Barbara, if you see this, this is plain. I hope you agree. So meaning no birds, no coffee, no magnolia, what you would expect when you hear the name of the kit. But then you at the same time get some more busy backgrounds, like more concrete backgrounds, because flower, bird, here, concrete things. Do you know what I mean? This little guy, I don't know the English name, but you can see what this is. I guess it's something similar like in German, but I'm afraid to say it because it could mean something totally different. Yeah, so as you can see, you can take this and use it as a page. You could use this as a base for a masterboard. Just stamp, glue, washi tape, paint, texture paste, splatter. Let it dry, turn it around, cut it into pieces, and you would have the perfect thing to use in your journal. You could make it totally your own. The same with, that's not the right page, I'm sorry. The same with this, of course. Yeah, use it in collages, cut it down to inches or something like that, and it will match the rest of the set and the rest of your journal, no matter what you throw on top, because you always would have these colors which are matching the rest. You also get some pages where you have a lot of journaling space. We have a lot of coffee stains here. This is one of my favorite pages. I had so much fun creating this. This is also relatively versatile. You could use this page exactly as it is, just fold it in half, put it into your journal, ready to go. You could cut all of the circles and use them as single elements on clusters, embellishments, decorate a tag or a pocket or whatever. You could cut in between of the circles just to make, for example, a wonky shaped tuck spot or something like that. You can cut it like this and make belly bands out of that. So many possibilities. Then, of course, next to those background and main pages, you will see more in a second, there's a lot of ephemera coming with this set. I've also included some sentiments here. As you can see, some of those are in English and some of those are in German, because you have also wished for some German sentiments and that stuff. So Kaffeezeit, for example, means coffee time. Kaffee jetzt means coffee now. So that's like, you know, I need a coffee now. By the way, I have one here, but I think it's already cold. I think I will become really beautiful in a few seconds, because cold coffee makes you beautiful, doesn't it? Yeah, a lot of feathers, as you can see, because, you know, birds and feathers. You also get some journaling cards. These would also match both of the other sets that I've just shown you, so that you have the possibility to combine these cards with the other cards. If you, for example, need more than 4 journaling cards, you could just take the cards from the other set and just throw them in here and it would match. Then you have pockets, as you can see here. Ooh. Some tags. And I've made a similar sheet of tags in another color variation, so that you could also take one of these as the front and one of these as the back. I've also tried to cover this like brownish coffee theme, if that makes sense. So there are some elements, for example, this sheet, if you would take this, cut that out and put that into like a mini journal or something. No, not a mini journal, because yeah, you could do it. Print it smaller and put it into a mini journal. That would work, of course, but I mean a journal that has not so much pages, yeah, where you don't need so much ephemera. But you could take this for a journal with not so much pages. This would be just perfect, because you have everything in the same color scheme, and you will see there are more brown elements in this set which have, like, you know, this brownish coffee theme, and you could fill a whole journal just with this and you would be ready to go and hopefully happy in the end. This is also an envelope which you can fold and then put something in, for example these cards that are here. And into this set, as I said a few minutes ago, there went a lot of personal things. I will talk about that in a second. Let me first show you these gorgeous backgrounds. I'm so in love with them. They look so fluffy. I've made several of these backgrounds with the feathers in different color combinations, so that you can use these as pages. You can cut them down, you can tear them, you can turn them into scraps and make a collage. You could make a masterboard out of this. You could, you know... You can do everything with that. But my main intention behind this was that you have material which you can use to cut also your own shapes, for example, for pockets or tags or something like that. And you have the right colors already, but without the need of searching for matching papers. So you will get everything in this set. So these are the feathers. And with this background page, I would like to explain the more personal and private things that went into this set. If you follow my channel, you have heard that I have been in Rome a few weeks ago, or actually now it's a few months ago. But I have brought back some things, and some things of those things that I brought back you can see here. So these here and this are some stamps which I made in Rome, or actually stamp impressions that I made in Rome. I have taken a piece of clay with me, and on some points in this in the city, I have just pressed the clay into something, and then I have put that to a paper and I have taken it with me, so that I can have something from Rome on my paper included into this design. And I hope that you perhaps like that as well. So here is nothing of that on this page. Here you can see the same impression which you have seen on the page before, but there are some more in here, and they are from different places in Rome. This comes from the place in front of the Colosseum I was sitting there and there was a little stone wall, and I have taken these stamp impressions from there. This, in this color, totally reminds me to coffee, like ground coffee, but actually this comes from really close to the Colosseum. And I thought perhaps it's nice for you as well to have something from there in the paper. On this page here, you can see on the one hand an owl, which is a totally different style than the other birds. I had to take this owl into this printable because this is me just after coming out of my bed before having my first coffee. It's me. It's a selfie. It's just, this owl is so cute. I mean, I don't want to say that I am cute when I wake up, but yeah. Here in the background, you can also see one of those stamp impressions from Rome. Here as well, this one came from the Trevi fountain. Yeah. And here, this here is also something that I made with the same technique. It comes from a metal sign which I found in Rome. And the idea, by the way, with the birds and those coffee circles, as you can see, the birds, or nearly all of the birds, are sitting in or on or next to such a coffee circle. This idea I had when I was in Rome and I was sitting in the morning outside in a coffee bar, and I had my coffee. I made something, and that is this little thing here. So this was the original inspiration for this printable. I have taken my coffee cup when it was empty and I've put it upside down to the paper to get this coffee stain. And then while I had another coffee, I have painted this little birdie here. By the way, this is the first ever bird that I have painted in my life, or drawn in my life. I think he turned out really cute and he was the inspiration to put those coffee stains here in combination with the birds. As you can see here, this is relatively close to my sketch in that little book which I have just shown you. Here you can see those letters again, which I have shown you on the other paper. Here they are white instead of brown, and here they are again, as you can see. And this thing here is also one of these stamp impressions. The same with this here. And yeah, so as I said, into this thing there went a lot of personal things. Also, the flowers, which are magnolia flowers, that is not a coincidence. When I was in Rome, I have seen a really, really impressive magnolia tree. And I was like, how is that called? Like an ice statue. Do you know what I mean? I was walking along the street and then there was this tree and I was like frozen because that was so massive and so impressive. It smelled like, you know, it was just wonderful. And that's the reason why these flowers are magnolia flowers. Here another page with more brownish coffee theme, you know. As you can see, relatively neutral. And if you want to have it more colorful, just combine it with the other things. Like, for example, these cards with the feathers or the pages or other elements from this set. Like, for example, these giant tags and these tickets. Or, you know, you have seen tons of things which you could combine with the rest, like vintage stuff. So this was Magnolia Coffee Birds. And here is something which I want to show you. I have made this giant card out of some of the pages which you have just seen and some Tim Holtz ideology elements and some other things that I had laying around. And I would like to show you this because I think that this set is really, really good for collaging, for things that have different elements, like frankenpaper, masterboards. Cut something off, combine it with something different, and you have a new thing. Do you know what I mean? This is so big. You have so many different variations of the pages that you can make a ton of things with this. So for the colors, and that's the last thing that I want to talk about today. So let's first talk about the blues, which would go nice with this set. I have taken out these backgrounds so that you can see that like in total, in really the full screen. One color which would fit really well in my eyes is Uncharted Mariner. Again, this is the Oxide swatch. And you can see this would work just perfectly. If you don't want to have it so bam, we could also take back the colors that we had for the creamy bouquet background colors, which were Iced Spruce, Speckled Egg, and Stormy Sky. Here I would say that Iced Spruce is just a perfect color for this. It's just totally harmonious. In combination with Stormy Sky, for me, it's even more harmonious. And also, Stormy Sky alone would be really nice. And I'm not totally sure about Speckled Egg. I have taken that out. And when I have placed it here, I was like, something is fighting in between of my brain, because something tells me that with the brown, it works well, but with this, it's a little bit weird. But I guess it's all about the context. If you have other things like this color around, then you could make it work. And in combination with Stormy Sky and the rest, it's just gorgeous. Especially in combination with the flowers. I like it really, really much. And this is just amazing. So that was the more bluish side of this project. Then let's take another page so that we can just have some more examples. Let's take a page which is more brownish. For example, this one. And let's talk about the brown side of junk journaling. Let's talk about colors which you could use if you want to have your journal not so colorful, meaning not blues, not reds, not, but more browns and neutral colors. That's what I'm trying to say. Then you could go with what we had before for the other sets as well, because that would match here as well. I'm talking about tea dye and gathered twigs. For me, this is just the coolest combination ever with this printable. This looks so harmonious. It's just amazing. But also frayed burlap and walnut stain would work here as well. The walnut stain goes really well with the colors here in the edges. And frayed burlap, sometimes the brown varies a little bit from here to there, for example. And in some areas, frayed burlap would match better, and in some areas, walnut stain would match better. But even if you would change them up, this would be just great, I would say. And then we, of course, have the Magnolia flowers here on this page. And for that, where are my swatches for that? Here. For those, I have chosen these three in combination. Spun Sugar, Worn Lipstick, and Picked Raspberry. And why do I say combination? Because when you look at this, you can see that by its own is a really great match. When I hold this here next to the flower, let's choose a page where the flower is bigger so that you can see that better. When I hold this here next to the flower, you can see it's harmonious. This totally works with each other. If I would take Spun Sugar and hold it here next to the flower, it still works, even if the camera can't catch that so well because Spun Sugar is so light. But even if it would work, in my eyes, this is a little bit boring. Yeah, it's like something is missing here. If I add Worn Lipstick, the whole thing looks totally different to me. That's a totally different story that we are talking about here. Same thing with Picked Raspberry. alone, it's totally weird, even if the color is really close to what we see on the paper. But when I put this here, it makes it harmonious again. And that's why I said a combination of these three, spun sugar, worn lipstick, and picked raspberry, would work. But of course, that's also personal taste and personal preference, what you like. And it also, of course, depends on the whole context of your journal or your project for which you want to use these papers. So yeah, I hope you have fun shopping in my shop. I hope you like this, and I hope you have fun printing some digital papers, cutting them out, and create something beautiful with them. And also with our digital paper. I wish you a lot of fun with whatever you have on your desk at the moment. I hope we will see the next time. Have a very great day. Bye bye.